So welcome back to another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for not telling people about my security cameras? So make sure you subscribe down below with the notifications on so twice a day DecoyNoise can start fast forwarding your boring things with more Reddit live commentary just like this one. So let's go ahead and hear OP out right now. So OP writes, about 6 months ago, I installed security cameras on my property. 1 indoors to monitor the baby's room and 3 outdoors. 1 facing the porch, 1 my backyard, and 1 my rear door. I have a hot tub near the rear door. Having cameras facing front or porch is pretty typical, right? People use Ring doorbells or what have you and don't think anything of it. Because I thought this was fairly standard for 2020, I didn't tell my friends. Whenever I entertained guests, it was always indoors where the only camera is somewhere a guest would never go. Something I mentioned is I never let guests use my hot tub. Back in February, I had to leave town for a few days and asked a friend to visit and let my dog out and feed her a few times a time. Okay. My friend lives only a block away, and I compensated her for the time. Unbeknownst to me, until about 2 weeks ago, apparently she used my hot tub. Not just her, but 2 friends of hers did as well, and they decided to use the hot tub without clothing. If it's not obvious, I don't check my cameras often unless there's a reason to. Neighbor told me one day prior that he saw someone get dropped off at my house while I went to go do groceries. Go into the backyard and then leave. So I wanted to see what they did. So I have footage of a friend with 2 other women changing in front of my hot tubbing for an hour or so, then leaving. I told my friend that I wish she asked permission before using my hot tub and told her what I saw, and she freaked out, calling me a pervert. She says it's my responsibility to tell people I have cameras around my property, even if their usage is benign. She wants to file charges against me for voyeurism. Sure, I watched the clip, but only to see the extent of it, and I deleted it after I was done with it. I countered that her friends were trespassing, and I didn't permit use of my hot tub to begin with. Am I the antagonist in this situation? And also they added an edit saying, since it was unintentionally ambiguous, the person my neighbor walked into my backyard was not the woman who was doing dog sitting for me. It was an elderly man. I'm assuming he thought it was his home and made a mistake. This is what prompted me to look at the footage roll, and it's unrelated. Okay, so as always, we take the case at hand, we take it over to Decoy Court where I give you my knee-jerk reaction as to what my thoughts are on it before we read those top comments, before we read those controversial comments, and then I'll read your comments down below. We'll do some Decoy Deliberation and figure out who the true antagonist is, and then make some sort of theoretical punishment for it. But if you had the best one, you earn yourself that Decoy coin. So I guess I'll just kind of give you my knee-jerk thing on this is, so why is it your responsibility to make sure I don't catch you? Why is it OP's responsibility to make sure he doesn't catch somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing? Like, I don't walk into Whole Foods and say to the cashier, like, oh, hey, make sure you be my lookout and make sure security doesn't see me while I steal these radishes right now. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, now she wants to sue OP for watching the video. And I'm sure if it would be a situation where he was just watching the videos or discover the videos and just continue to record them without them knowing, but no, they would have something then, but just not the idea that he saw just to catch them doing the crime. And it's like, he used them just to watch them and tell her, hey, don't do this. This is what happened or whatever. And it's like they're basically breaking into his hot tub at that point. They didn't have any permission to go in there. So it's the same thing if I said, hey, can my neighbor come over here and water my plants while I'm gone? And they go into my bedroom to look at my video games or something, and then my dog bites them. It's like, I understand that there's strict liability in some places, but from a reasonable person's standpoint, no one should be held responsible for the crimes that somebody else is committing. So this is always just for OP and OP itself. I'm gonna go ahead and say that OP is not the antagonist because there's nothing that they should have, like, it's not his fault that he caught someone doing a crime. It's like, don't ever let somebody shame you for protecting what is yours. And I'm sure the friend is saying, oh, it's harmless, like, you know, we're just using the hot tub for friends. But, you know, what if someone slipped outside and hurt themselves? There's electrical failure, flooding. There's a myriad of things that could go wrong, including getting caught by his security cameras. So it's oftentimes people say, like, don't be an antagonist to solve antagonist behavior, but it's, you know, maybe he goes on the offensive and says, hey, one of my heating pumps got damaged when you were using it. It's a legacy piece, so it's going to be hard to find. It's going to cost me $50,000 to repair. So how would you like to pay for it? Or do I need to take you to court using the footage I have of you using my hot tub without asking? And just, it's one of those things where it's like the same thing that you would do to stand up to a bully, and you can really see if they're confident in their convictions by challenging them. If their argument just falls apart as soon as they realize that you're not just going to bend over backwards for them, they never had an argument in the first place. And that's likely what would happen here, where they have, like, you know, the whole high and mighty, oh yeah, you were watching me, how dare you. But if as soon as they're challenged and saying, actually, it's not just me calling you out on your bad behavior, you are going to be sued over your bad behavior, and I'm going to, you know, penalize you financially for your bad behavior, it's probably going to disappear. But like always, tell me what you're thinking down below. Earn yourself that Decoy coin by telling me that I'm wrong, or just give giving me a different like outlook on it, whatever it may be. But let's go ahead and, you know, look at those top replies, which are not the antagonist. Quite correctly, they were trespassing. Pretty sure you don't have to tell people that aren't supposed to use the facilities about cameras. Different case if you allowed them to use your hot tub, but you didn't. And that would be the thing where it's like, you know, if they said, yeah, go ahead and use the hot tubs and then didn't tell them about cameras, that'd be a situation. But let's go ahead and read that next reply that got a lot of downvotes saying, how were they trespassing? Didn't he give one of them the key to his house to check on everything? No cop would ever call this trespassing once they receive the entire story. LOL, he's still not the antagonist. I'm pretty sure that there's limits. Like if I give you keys to my house, it doesn't give you permission to eat all the food in my fridge and, you know, watch my television, play all my games and all the, it's like, you know, it's not keys to the castle situation where it's like once you can walk in the door, everything's yours. It's like, no, he said come over and let my dog out and make sure he's fed, nothing else. Like I think that would fall apart if anything. I'd like to know if this person right here ever found themselves in that same situation where they just said, hey, come over and feed my cat and, you know, feed my fish, and then all of a sudden they started using his, I don't know, his blender or something, if he'd feel the same way. But let's go ahead and read on. The reply to that was, they came back when OP was home and at the grocery store, entering via the backyard gate. That's trespassing. And that's where that kind of falls apart. They did the edit later on saying that the person going in the backyard later on had nothing to do with the original incident. It was just a situation where that's what prompted him to kind of discover the fact that they had used the hot tub earlier. But let's go ahead and read the next replies. Top replies, not the antagonist. She's lashing out because she got caught violating your trust, which is true. It's like, you know, like, why would you let me, you know, rat myself out like that? Like, why would you let me catch you? It's like, no, it's not. She's not mad at the idea that he did it. She's mad that she got caught. You know what I mean? One of those like fake apologies. But we'll read the reply to that is, not the antagonist, but her freak out is probably because she's scared of her pictures getting out. Yes, she shouldn't have done it. It's her fault for taking advantage of things and not asking, which is the idea where it's like, you know, it seems like OP's being a mature adult about it and say, hey, look, I caught you. This is what it is. I deleted it, but, you know, stop doing that. This is violating my trust. Now they're freaking out saying, like, what are the consequences going to be later on? Am I going to be blackmailed? Am I going to be, you know, outed later on? Are you going to charge me for something? So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, oftentimes people, when they, instead of going on the defensive, they just want to start being on the offensive by saying, I'm going to do these things to you unless you back off right now. And it's like, whoa, what are you doing? I'm just saying that I caught you doing something. But let's go ahead and read the next top reply, which was, not the antagonist. It wouldn't have been a problem if she hadn't gone beyond your back in the first place. It's a little weird to use your friend's hot tub without permission, naked. Not to mention inviting friends. She put herself in the situation, which is true. Just the idea that it's like, why would you put yourself in that situation in the first place where it's like, I don't ever see myself in a, where I'm doing somebody a favor and I'm like, okay, so I'm being compensated for feeding this person's dog. What else can I get out of it right now? This is what something you do to like your parents or whatever, when it's like, your parents go out of town, let's have a pool party and like, you know, have a little bash over here. Not to like your neighbor that's paying you to watch their dog, but let's go ahead and read on. Not the antagonist. It's your private property and she's trespassing. It's one thing if you post it to the internet, but like surveillance cameras, she's spinning it on you because she got caught. Call her on a bluff and tell her if she wants to do anything legal, you'll counter with trespassing, which is true. But, you know, I think that OP's just trying to be civil about the situation, like just, you know, person to person, like most of these things. Like if you went on the internet and started bashing her, saying like, you know, not even with a video, but just like posting, can't believe that she would do this, and then, you know, calling the police and all that stuff, I think that he would be the antagonist at that point in time. But if you just kind of, you know, walk it back and see it for what it is, he's kind of bashful about it, saying like, here's the situation, and also posting online like, hey, do I have some sort of moral obligation to let people know that I have cameras on my property? So it seems like they're handling it like the mature adult they are. But then somebody else replied to that, getting lots of downvotes, which is that same person, in which also I don't want anybody ever to pitchfork and torch it, where it's like, hey, somebody's wrong, we don't need to pile on it. They get downvotes, that's their punishment, nothing extra, nothing going after and sending PMs, oh my god, I can't believe how wrong you are. That's not what DecoyNoise is about. That's not what the Koi Pond is doing right now, right? So let's go ahead and read their reply. They're saying, LOL, how do you trespass when you had permission to be on the property, up to and including receiving keys into the property? You trespass by going into an area that you weren't given permission to go to. Like, just because I walk into the bank and say, okay, you guys let me walk in the bank, now let me in the safe, like that, his arguments doesn't stand up anywhere. But let's go ahead and read the next reply to that comment, which is, it sounds like in this instance the friend wasn't entering the house sit, but using the key and property while the homeowner ran out to go groceries. Okay, so this was not what actually would happen, the blanket situation. So that I'd read it, but it just doesn't seem applicable because they corrected it later on. But let's go ahead and read the next top reply, which is, not the antagonist. Voyeurism would be installing a two-way, one-way mirror in your bathroom or hidden camera in your bathroom. This is trespassing, which is true. Just the idea that this is just not applicable to what was going on right there. But like I said, top comments are always about the better perspective of it. Maybe controversial comments will give us a good argument for why they would be in the wrong for it or something else, or maybe just insane stuff where they just want to go way overboard and yell at the person. I mean, this is just for entertainment at that point in time. So let's go ahead and look at the next controversial reply, which is, not the antagonist. And I don't think she has a strong legal case either, at least where I live. Not even Airbnb owners have to disclose the guests that they have cameras, so what you did is okay. Your friend should have apologized for using the hot tub with their friends. She's sorry she got caught and is trying to turn things around against you. Which is true. I don't know about the whole thing about the Airbnb situation, but just the idea that it's just like, yeah, she should have just stopped right there and said, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I had some friends over. Like, that was bad judgment on my behalf. I apologize. Like, that should have been it if they were both mature adults, which seems like OP was being, and maybe not so much on the friend that was dog sitting. So just the idea where they just wanted to go on the offensive to try to, you know, get OP to back off was probably not the best decision on her end. But let's read a reply to that. For Airbnbs, yes, you do. It's a refund kind of offense for an owner not to disclose. Oh, there's some rules from Airbnb, which is true. Probably like they probably have to disclose they have cameras out and around, and they can't be in places where you would have assumed privacy. But maybe I don't ever do Airbnb, so maybe someone in the comment section can tell me down below what the actual rules are. So this looks like somebody's quoting the rules, but we don't want to go into like Airbnb information. But next reply is, if you did, that would kind of ruin the point. Oftentimes the cameras aren't about security, it's about deterrence, where, you know, you put the camera up there in front of your house so you know that, like, oh, a guy that wants to steal your Amazon package or your deliveries from somebody else, they know their face is gonna get caught on camera. So it's just there like, okay, why would I steal a package from this house with a camera when I can go steal a package from the house that doesn't have a camera? So it's not even, you know, a hidden camera situation, it's just deterrence. So maybe they should have seen it. I guess one of the information that we should have asked for from OP was the idea of how obvious were the cameras. Were they like the Ring camera? Were they a dome camera where you can obviously see that it's a camera watching you? Or was it something that's like, you know, it looks like an air vent and is actually like, you know, a pen camera? Like, they even have the creepy ones right now where on Amazon you can buy, it looks like a screw that goes into your wall, but it's really a microscopic camera, which is terrifying to me. But let's go ahead and read the next controversial reply, which got lots of downvotes, saying, she won't win because your cameras were in an overt position. Sure, you'd be 100% protected if you had warned them beforehand, and especially with notices around, but seeing as they were standard security cameras out in the open, she's unlikely to have a case. Let her file charges, she'll lose. But in the future, yeah, protect yourself by pointing out to all your visitors your security cameras, and that will stop stone dead. Even stuff like them using the hot tub when you're away. They got downvotes, I'm guessing here, because the idea they're just assuming that they're like overt cameras in the open. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but just the idea is like, you know, let her file charges, she'll lose. Part of growing up and becoming an adult and having something better to do in your life other than, like, you know, better bickering and, you know, being a busybody around your neighborhood. As you can tell on this channel, I'm not a fan of busybodies with nothing better to do. Like, there should be something positive you should spend your time with. And just the idea, like, you know, let her file charges, she loses. No, everybody loses when she files charges, because then you have to, like, you know, gather all the evidence, probably have to talk to, like, the detective if it's going to be like a criminal thing. Then you got to have, like, carve out your day to go to court, bring your suit, have your stuff there. It's this whole, like, ordeal you're going to go through. Right or wrong, you still lose, because what is it? You're going to donate 8 hours of your life to beating this case, which you could have probably gotten settled by just having a stern conversation with your neighbor. You lose because you have something better to do. He has a house and has enough money to get all these cameras. I'm guessing that maybe, I don't know, if he lives in California with a house like that, he's probably making well into 100K range. So it's like 8 hours of 100K, about $50 an hour. So you're looking at $400. Little for all charges she'll lose, but you've lost $400 of opportunity costs. I'm sorry, I don't want to just burn $400 of my cash to prove them a lesson that I could have proven in person, that we could have just mulled over with a stern conversation. Like, you know, this whole like let her do it is not the mentality you should have as an adult. But let's go ahead and read the next top reply, which is a controversial reply that has negative votes. So they're saying, everyone sucks here. She definitely should have not have used your hot tub without asking for your clear instructions. If your clear instruction were only to care for the dog, but it probably was a smart move to say, I have cameras around to keep my eye on things in case anything goes wrong. Not only would this probably have saved you because she would have known to not do anything stupid, but if I was her, and even if I was doing the right thing, I wouldn't have been comfortable with someone watching me on camera anytime they wanted to without a heads up first. This is mainly because I do weird stuff like talk to myself or dance and I think that no one's watching. Well, yeah, you probably talk to yourself and do things when no one's watching in the safety of your own home. You don't go to your neighbor's house to do chores for them and start dancing around in your underwear, like, you know, talking to yourself. Maybe you do, but you shouldn't really have this weird sense of privacy in somebody else's home, especially doing a job, because they're compensating you for the time. And just the idea where it's like, you know, telling them they have cameras to deter it. Well, what goes to say, like, you know, this is a dishonest person that's using, you know, the trust of OP to watch their dog to, you know, take advantage and use a hot tub. Maybe they'll cover their cameras, or maybe they'll move it, or maybe they'll do something that'll just let them do it anyway. Like, the cameras, like, what is it? Locks keep honest people out. The cameras keep honest people away. And it's like, maybe they just cover their face. I don't know. It's just, you should never have to apologize for protecting your own property. And this is just not something that I think that, you know, they had to give somebody a clear warning. Like, if I'm saying that, I don't know, I have, like, you know, they say beware of dog out there. I think beware of dogs is showed, like, hey, don't, as a deterrent, not like, you know, I don't have to warn everybody every single time that I might, you know, defend myself. That doesn't seem like, I don't know, like, I guess I can't really eloquently say this point right now, but just the idea that I don't agree with this guy. And they got a lot of downvotes, but let's go ahead and read one more controversial reply, which is not the antagonist, but I think I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am. You have to tell guests that you're watching your house that you have cameras or something, or maybe it's just an Airbnb thing I'm thinking of, which is likely probably the truth, where it's, I don't really have to disclose anything about the privacy of my home if it's my home or whatever. Just the idea that, you know, it's my house. I don't think that I need to do that. And just the idea that some people would actually probably be offended by that if I say, like, hey, look, come watch my cat. By the way, I got it wired to the T. There's cameras. Whenever you're here, you're always being watched. That's almost like a distrust thing. Might as well just have the cameras up and just don't review them if I trust the person, which is exactly what OP did. But like always, you know, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if the top comments swayed you, the controversial comments swayed you. My favorite thing to read comments down below are, you know, when someone gives me their knee-jerk reaction, after they read it, after they hear me, after they hear the top comments, controversial comments, and kind of do a reflective thing in the post where you get to kind of see someone like develop as a person in the comment section, because it lets me know that, you know, we don't have all these just antagonists hanging out in the comment section where they just like, I know what's right, nobody can ever sway me, there's nothing that would make me think otherwise, no matter logic or reasoning, it's just me, I'm superior. So I like to see people kind of change their mind, because oftentimes I do in the comment section, in the story section, in your comments down below, or as I kind of grow older. It's nice to see people are open-minded. But like always, if you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thank you for watching all this stuff, hanging out with me during my furlough. Subscribe down below with the notifications on, because I do hear that you could be subscribed to DecoyNoise but just never see my videos in the feed, which is bizarre. Visit DecoyNoise.com to give me your feedback or submit your own stories. Maybe we can do a video about just am I the antagonist threads from people in the Decoy Koi pond. But if nothing else, put this on autoplay and watch the next Decoy Noise coming up next.